Today, we take a look at some pop-punk vocalists that can hit them high notes. Let's check it. Pop-punk vocalists are like snowflakes. Not in the right-wing nickname for softies, but more the older expression that each one is unique. Some have tattoos, they're vegans, they can sing, they can scream, and some are jack of all trades, where they make up the entire talent of the entire band. In this list, we're taking a look at some of the vocalists from these bands that have hit the highest range. Or as it Reddit user Onomatopoeia, which is a fantastic username by the way, pointed out, the range isn't necessarily how high you can hit the notes, but rather how low you can go to how high you can hit. Basically singing in octaves, which is something I should have known as a musician. I just used the wrong term but knew what I was saying, and they knew what I was saying too. But we're not looking at that, we're looking at pitch. Pop-punk singers who can dominate the right hand of the piano with their voice, and not just that, have the pipes to consistently hit the high notes throughout every single song. So without further ado, let's jump into it. If you're a person who's listened to pop-punk music, then you've definitely cried to a Dashboard Confessional song at least one time in your life. Anybody? Nobody? Just me? Whatever. Moving on. They're one of the first bands that I remember that accepted the title of being an emo band. And to their credit in history, it doesn't look like they give much of a shit. Singer Chris Cabrera has poured his heart, soul, into every single song he's sung and wrote since the band's debut in 1999. I vividly remember hearing the song Vindicated from the Spider-Man 2 soundtrack and getting that like choked up lump in your throat thing in your voice, in your thing. Because this song was that powerful. The notes in that song alone are just enough to be on this list. Don't judge a cereal box by the cartoon character on the front is definitely the best analogy I can use for Burt McCracken from The Used. Don't let his screams fool you. The dude definitely has some pipes. I think that's one of the most misconceptional things about singers who scream, is that those guys have seriously some of the highest notes, have some of the greatest range. I mean, for example, Corpse Grinder from Cannibal Corpse has an amazing normal voice. There's some clips of him online, actually, of him singing, and it's just crazy. He has like this operatic voice. And that's pretty much what I have to say about Burt. Songs like Taste of Ink, Pretty Handsome Awkward, Buried Alive, and a ton more are consistently high-hitting notes the entire song. His range is also without a doubt. He has bits of low, he can go octaves, with screaming thrown in there to bring a dynamic to each song. Andrew McMahon from Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness, Jack's Mannequin, and Something Corbett is example of one of those guys who can hit it on so many ranges. Verses are typically sung lower, but be prepared for the chorus to be as high sung as he can possibly sing. His stripped-down take on the pop-punk emo genre is one of the reasons why Everything in Transit is one of my favorite albums of all time. He can pull you in with just the piano and his voice, and sometimes just his voice. There's an a cappella version of Holiday from Real, and it's just phenomenal, and I'll link that up in the description below. One of the first times I actually had a tough time singing along to a pop-punk song was Everything Is Alright by Motion City Soundtrack. In fact, pretty much everything off of that 2005 album, Commit This to Memory, is a tough song to sing along to. Singer Justin Pierre's voice is one of those unique voices that stand out and is easily identifiable, even without a Moog synthesizer behind him. Almost every single song from the band's discography, if not every single song from the band's discography, hits the dusty end of the guitar, with Pierre belting out recognizable high-note choruses from songs like LG Fod, Let's Get Fucked Up and Die, My Favorite Accident, and When You're Around. I'm stoked that the band's back together and touring. I can't wait to see them live. This singer is one that I bet everyone was waiting for on the list. It's Fall Out Boy's Patrick Stump. Now, Fall Out Boy isn't considered pop punk in more modern standards these days, but Patrick can still belt out the high notes even after nearly 20 years of being in a band. If you want to exclude the more pop albums like Mania and American Beauty, then perhaps we'll just take a look at anything from Folie à Deux back in the band's discography, ranging anywhere from well-known songs like Dance Dance and Sugar We're Going Down, to the more unknown, dynamic, and subtle with songs like Golden, which is like a piano and acoustic song, to What I Catch Donnie, which is another piano kind of acoustic song that has this cool little medley on the tail end of the song. It's not just Patrick's ability to sing the note, but the ability to carry that note out as far as he possibly can. For example, in songs like The Afterlife of the Party, which is from their Infinity on High album, it's one of my favorite songs by the band. He holds out a note that's on the last line of the last chorus for over 10 seconds. And he does it with ease. He goes up and down the octaves. That's another thing. Patrick has more of that like gospel-y Aretha Franklin type voice that definitely makes him a unique character and a most recognizable voice, and is on this list. Though not considered pop punk by some, this band is still notable on this list, and I stuck them kind of high up on this list because I kind of like the band. Compared to bands like A Skylit Drive and Dance Gavin Dance, with more of a metal rock alt vibe, Sleeping with Sirens still needs some gratis. Since the 2009 debut of Kellen Quinn, the singer, everyone knows who Kellen Quinn is, who formerly took the place of Brian Cazzini, who really didn't last much of one album, but is doing his own thing now in the band We Are Defiance. Kellen has been blasting high notes with Sleeping with Sirens since their album With Ears to See and Eyes to Hear, which was his debut album in the band. I mean, that album alone, you have the songs like Aubrey Hepburn, and which if you haven't heard his pipes in that song, just listen to it. Now back to some pop punk. Let's talk about the story so far for a minute. You can't mention this list without talking about Parker Cannon, one of the most recognizable voices in modern pop punk today. There isn't a moment that goes by in a Story So Far song where, unless you have pipes of your own, it's difficult to sing along to the song, unless you know you're just singing words, not giving a shit about if you're hitting the notes right or not. Whatever, I digress. Tunes from every single song on their 2013 album, which you don't see, are exemplary, with pitch-hitting perfection. With everything from songs like Stifled to Empty Space, which an incredible singer by the name of Crystalline on YouTube did an absolutely amazing cover of this song. And she also covers stuff like Taylor Swift and Drake and Paramore. You should just check her out too. But back to Parker Cannon, who has an amazing vocal range. He can take an acoustic song like Clairvoyant and turn it into something that's super difficult to sing if you don't have the pipes of your own. But it's just not hitting the high notes, it's how he sings it. He can take it, make it melodic and beautiful throughout the entire song rather than just hitting high notes the entire time. It's definitely the reason why he's top 5 on this list. Pierce the Veil's Vic Fuentes, who's a guy, again, who falls under that like Kellen Quinn territory, where some people don't say that Pierce the Veil is necessarily a pop punk band, given the breakdowns and the heavier riffs and the screaming that's sprinkled throughout some of their songs, i.e. the song The Boy Who Could Fly. However, the band is definitely rooted in pop punk. The first time I heard Pierce the Veil, I honestly thought that Vic was a female singer. His voice was that damn high. Even now I go back and listen to songs like Bulletproof Love, and he's hitting high notes the entire tune. He's definitely a dynamic singer as well. He can hit and can dial it back with songs like Floral and Fading and Circles off of their 2016 album Misadventures. However, there isn't a song at all found like that on our 2010 album, Selfish Machines. It's all high notes the entire time. Go back and listen. A man with no introduction, but I'm going to give it to him anyway, is Anthony Green, of Circus Survive, Seosin, and his own solo stuff. Anthony Green's the guy who his pipes are proof in the pudding. I've met very few people who can sing along to Anthony Green and get away with it sounding good. I mean, most of the time they just botch it, like myself. I mean, have you ever heard songs like Get Out or I Felt Free, or rather every single song off the 2010 album Blue Sky Noise? And while Seosin's self-titled album is credited to vocals from Cove Rebar, with unforgettable songs like Voices and You're Not Alone, in a time those two vocalists can sound kind of similar. And Anthony Green was the original singer of that band, and he came back in 2014 for the band's 2016 album, Along the Shadow, who he was one of many lineup changes during the time in that band. His solo career is just as unforgettable, with songs like You'll Be Fine and Who Can Forget Dear Child. And before we get to number 1, let's just go through some honorable mentions. Joe Taylor from Knuckle Puck. Since the band's breakthrough album Copacetic, they've consistently put out jams hitting those high notes. While a lot of Joe's singing comes from like an almost rasp voice, he consistently hits big notes in songs like Evergreen, Desane, Twist, and Want Me Around. Derek DeSanio from State Champs. He has a similar rasp voice to Joe Taylor's and can stand equally toe-to-toe hitting the same notes. With Derek though, he can hang on those high notes and then drop back to a more dynamic lower octave and say like a bridge or a verse. But when the chorus hits, be sure to know there's going to be high notes hit. Jesse Lacey from Brand New. We're going to take this one back all the way to like the early 2000s. Everyone knows that Jesse Lacey is a phenomenal singer-songwriter, but also an amazing singer. One of my most favorite albums of all time is going to be Deja Innuendo. That album alone has a number of songs that has high-hitting notes by Jesse Lacey. Even tunes that are more laid-back and dialed in, and even more, dare I say, like acoustic. Jesse manages to hit some crazy high notes in them. Notable songs I have to say are I Will Play My Games, etc., The Quiet Things That No One Ever Knows, Jude Law, The Semester Abroad, and 70 times 7. Speaking of Brand New, Taking Back Sunday. If you don't get that reference, go do some homework. Taking Back Sunday's Adam Lazaro has been known for swinging that microphone up and down and also going up and down them scales with his voice. With tunes like Liar and Make Damn Sure alone, you can see where I'm coming from, putting him an honorable mention on this list. I'm going to get crucified for this one. but Hayley Williams from Paramore. Yeah, I'm sticking Hayley in the honorable mentions list because she's easily number one. If we were talking about who can hit the highest notes, which we kind of are, it would definitely be Hayley, but that's because she has the natural ability to do that, given that she's a she. Female voices are just naturally higher. Well, most of the time anyways. She's like the Konami cheat code on this list. While you see some male soprano singers, you rarely ever hear of a baritone or bass female vocalist. You can pick damn near any single Paramore song, and pretty much every single singer that I've mentioned so far on this list can't hit any of those notes, and can't do what Hayley does. And for that, I have to mention her. And now at number one, now that we're through the honorable mentions, it's Brendon Urie from Panic at the Disco. The singer, songwriter, / only guy who's left in the band originally, it's actually doing like everything now. He's like the Frank Sinatra of pop punk. And even though that pop punk vibe is kind of gone these days and he's went for more of a pop rock sound, he still has those pop punk roots. The singer's been belting out high notes since their 2005 debut album, A Fever You Can't Sweat Out, with songs like The Only Difference, I Write Sins, and so on and so forth, of songs with really long ass titles in them. Pretty Odd in 2008 was kind of dialed back and didn't go so crazy on the vocal range, but that also shows his range where he can sing low and high. But 2008 didn't stop him in 2011 with the album Vices and Virtues, which brought songs like Mona Lisa and Memories, and pretty much practically that entire album. He's still killing today even with his 2018 release of Pray for the Wicked, with songs like Hey Look Mom I Made It, and High Hopes, and even 2019, as of like this year, teaming up with Taylor Swift on her song Ha. Urie's lounge singer / gospel-y / meets pop punk rock take on his voice is the reason why he's number one. He can go anywhere into any genre and do anything, but he's still a pop punk kid at heart. Hey guys, I hope you like the list. I know that I missed like a shit ton of singers, and that's why I'm inevitably going to definitely do a part 2 of this, because there are so many to choose from. Sound off down below your favorite vocalist from a pop punk band who can hit them high notes. And with that, I'm just going to say let's roll the outro. Later. Hey guys, now that we're at the end of the video, thank you for commenting, and subscribing. You can check out daily blogs on thepoppunkdad.com, which features daily reviews and interviews from awesome bands. Head on over to the Pop Punk Dad official merch shop where you can buy cool things like that right there. It helps the channel out and lets me know that you love me. I have a weekly podcast called the Pop Punk Dadcast, which is on SoundCloud and iTunes now. Please subscribe. While you're at it, cruise around and check out other content on this channel. You can check out all my social medias, my IG, my FB, and my Twitter, at the Pop Punk Dad. And above all else, guys, stay pop punk. Later.